I'm Dr. Sharon Schutz, and I'm sitting here with our sheriff, Woody Wallace, and we're going to be discussing several things today. It's been a while since we sat down and talked, and we thought this would be a great time to kind of let everybody know what's going on with the sheriff department. It goes out when you arrest and do a drug bust, and I know people love those videos.
Well, and to touch on that a minute, that's not something we do. We don't do that to embarrass people. Just like we don't arrest, we post our arrests. That's not to embarrass people. That's to let people know several things. One, that we're doing our job. B, that there are consequences in Trinity County for crimes that you violate.
Right.
And that, and it also gives people in the community information about other people in the community of, before I hire this person, maybe I know a little more about them. Have they been arrested? It's easy to go back and check. I'm not saying that someone that's been arrested won't do a good job, but if you see them time and time again for thefts and drugs, it might be just as well just to let them pass them off until they grow up. Yeah,
you're right. It does give us the community an opportunity to see what's going on and first of all to see what you guys are doing. Right. Because I know I live in Westwood Shores, and when I've been there 10 years. And when we first moved out there, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of theft and a lot of pilfering and things like that. And we don't have those kind of problems now. And we don't seem to have as much of the drug-related problems that we did for a while.
Well, it's most of our crime in this county is drug-related. Okay, we've established that if you get rid of meth, you're going to hit other crimes with it. You're going to take them out as well. So. The more we focus on meth and the more we solve burglaries and we get these people arrested and charged and in the judicial system where we keep a closer eye on them, then we've noticed that we have a whole lot less problems.
Right.
The crime rate is down in Trinity County by tremendous numbers, and that's because we're proactive. We're not reactive, and we're not going to just sit around and wait. We're going to go out and we're going to try to prevent these things from happening. We're going to try to stop kids from getting on drugs, and we're going to try to figure out a way to make people that's using drugs and selling drugs to quit. We give them three options. You're either going to quit, you're either going to end up in jail, or you're going to move. And we don't want it here. We're not going to tolerate it. And with that attitude comes a lot of people packing up and leaving. We've seen lots of people move. Now some of them just move right across the county line thinking they're not touchable, but as we tell them, if your drugs, if you continue to deal drugs and it makes it back in Trinity County, we're going to follow that trail back to you. We're going to bring you right back over here and put you back in our system.
Excellent.
And that's happened, and people are realizing that hey, this ain't a good thing. And we also use the asset forfeiture and seizure, Chapter 59. We're going to seize properties. If this house continues to be a drug house, and everybody that owns the property knows that that's a drug house for the people that live there, we're going to seize it and we're going to sell it. And that's another way to get rid of these people. They go to jail. When they get out, they don't have a home to come back to. Maybe they'll go to another county. But one thing they're going to learn is that we're not going to tolerate it, and they're going to have to start all over every time. So it's a lot cheaper just to get a job and live right than it is to deal drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Because that money's not taxed. They're not held accountable for it, and that's one of the ways we can seize it is because it's bought with illegal money. It's been obtained illegally. It hasn't been taxed, so. That's why we're going to swoop in and get it.
Right.
And it's making a dent because people don't like losing their properties.
Well, let's talk about meth for just a moment. I know there's all kinds of drugs out there. I know that for a long time, crack was the big thing, especially among upper echelon, upward mobile people working in these offices and stressed and whatever. Tell me about meth and why meth? Why are you targeting this one thing over some of the other stuff that we know is out there?
Well, meth is more prevalent. It's everywhere. It's taken over. It's the #1 choice of drug right now, in Trinity County especially. Right. And they're all dangerous. Every one of them are dangerous. And so we don't treat any of them any different, but it just seems like everybody that we encounter that's using drugs is primarily on meth. There's a little bit of crack out there, there's a little bit of heroin, there's still cocaine, and there's still a few other ones. A lot of prescription pills are being abused. Now some of that they're getting from their doctors and some of it they're selling on the streets. All of them's dangerous, and they all need to be dealt with. But meth in particular, it has a potential to really create psychotic issues once someone is deprived from sleep for 4 or 5 days, they're deranged. They're paranoid. They're schizophrenic. They think everything's out to get them,
right.
and they literally see things that aren't there. They literally think that people, including in their own families, out to get them, and they think people are out to kill them, and they just get scared, and they think things are in their attic that aren't there. And we go to houses all the time where people tell us, "Oh, there's somebody in my house, in my attic," and or in that wall. They'll say they're in that wall or in the TV, and they make no sense. They just so it's just, and it's dangerous because these people get that scared, they get dangerous,
right.
and they will pull knives and they will go after people they think is trying to kill them first, who don't even know. So, and the other problem with it is even just the functional meth users that aren't going into the paranoid phases of it yet. They have a tendency they can't hold a job. They stay up 2 or 3 days and then they crash. They can't get any rest. They go to sleep or they go to work and they're just not functional. And then they get fired and then they don't have a job. So when they don't have a job and they can't pay for it with the money they earn, then they have to turn to borrow money from family and friends. After a while, friends and family quit loaning them money because they see what issues they're causing. Then they start stealing from family and friends. And then when their family and friends cut completely off and push them away, then they go to stealing from neighbors and people they don't know, and then they
right.
get into burglaries, and then they get into more violent crimes. So it's kind of a snowball effect, and it's the primary driving issue behind the majority of the crime in Trinity County, with the exception of your even a lot of the sex crimes to children and stuff like that. We find meth's involved, but crimes of passion or stuff like that, they're often even involved with meth and alcohol and drugs,
right.
because people have a tendency to act different when they're under some sort of influence. But meth is the one that they seem to really go crazy on, and they get really dangerous.
Well, you have this program called Don't Meth With Me, and I've seen the brochure. I have one in my office, and we were sitting here discussing it a little bit. Tell me about this program, because I know this is something that you support, and then there's something else you're talking about doing. This is for the 5th grade level, and then you're talking about supporting for the higher levels in high school or whatever. Can you tell us about some of the things that you're planning on doing there?
Well, the Don't Meth With Me program is geared toward 5th graders.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the first year we do it in Trinity County, and all the schools have said, you're welcome to come do this program there, which we're going to. We're scheduling dates now. But the Meth program, this is going to educate our 5th graders on what meth is, why don't ever use it, and this program has been going on in several years in other states, and they actually come back after 3 or 4 years of this program going, have reported that meth-related crimes has dropped by 40% as early as 3 years.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful, and we want to do that here because when 5th graders go home and they see their parents using meth, which happens a lot,
oh yeah,
and older siblings and friends, they can make their parents feel a little guilty maybe, or they can question them about it and hopefully get them to stop. But the main thing is in 10 years from now, once we don't have the drug dealers under control, but we have them scared. We have them running. And the more pressure we can put on them, the better. But also when you start taking away future customers, then it's going to slow down
right.
as well. So you put all this stuff together, and hopefully we're going to have a whole lot nicer area to live. And I believe that this program is really we're going to reduce the amount of meth-related crimes we have in Trinity County. We already know it's dropping. We're going to add this to the mix and see if it gets even better.
We know that there is industry coming back to Trinity County. We just recently did an article on the Trinity Steel fabricators and some other things that we're checking into that are going to be here. How will the job market, how will that affect the drug thing here in Trinity? Will it help bring it down? Will it,
Well, yes, but I think we have another scenario here. Is the meth and the drugs have kept industry from coming here.
Right.
Simply because you don't have a good workforce to pick from.
Exactly.
If you hire somebody and they show up for 3 days to get paid and they go get high and they don't show up to work the next day, then it's not obviously doing anything good for industry.
Right.
I myself, in the beginning, and part of the reason why I decided to run for sheriff years ago, was I tried to have several businesses in Trinity County, and for the most part I was pretty successful at it, but there was such little people to choose from
Right.
that didn't have a drug habit. You either dealt with high school kids that couldn't work, you know, flexible hours because they had school and everything else, or you had meth heads, okay? And you can't run a business with people that are high on drugs,
Right.
okay, or dependent on it and whether or not they're going to show up for work. So the work pool was not here.
Right.
Not saying there wasn't some good people here that would work, but they had jobs.
Right.
And when you want to run a small mom and pop operation and you're paying minimum wage or not much more, then you're dealing on the crowd between, you know, high school and 25 years old.
Right.
These 20 to 25-year-olds are out of school and they're either going to college and they're trying to better themselves. But when you have so many of them that's on drugs and they're undependable, then you can't have. But then when you got the older people and you have them on drugs, you can't run industry with a bunch of drug heads. Okay,
Right.
So I think it's going to the less meth we have here, the less other drugs, and the more industry tries to come back. I think it's going to be a win-win situation.
Right.
And I think once people get good paying jobs and they know that they're going to be held accountable at work, if you get caught with drugs, they're going to fire you. And once they get addicted to making the money, good money,
Right.
they're not going to risk that.
Yeah.
In some cases, they're not going to risk that by losing their job by going and using drugs.
And you said something about another program at the older, Don't Meth With Me is for 5th grade.
This particular thing
Tell me
is
about the other
targeted for 5th grade because some psychologists and got together and they've learned that the 5th grader's mind is the most impressionable when it comes to
I agree. I
drugs.
think that's an amazing age to
It's
start.
before they turn into teenagers, before they get to where they won't listen to you at all,
Right.
but they're still old enough to remember it.
And they're still
That's-
moldable.
That's it. So that's the kind of key to that. Now, what we want to also do is kind of take this program a little further, and we want to start holding maybe a yearly deal for parents all over the county where we can bring parents in here and aunts and uncles and school teachers and anybody that deals with anybody
Right.
that might get on drugs, which is all of us, that we can show people what to look for when you have somebody that's possibly close to you that's using drugs, okay? So we want to teach people what to look for if you see this, if you see signs in somebody like this, or you find this kind of paraphernalia laying around, what it is and what it's for. And then maybe if someone gets involved in these people's life before they get to where they just don't think they can live without methamphetamines, maybe we can prevent them from getting any worse and get them off of it and keep them off of it.
Excellent. Well, I think it's wonderful. Like I said, I've seen in the 10 years that I've lived here in Trinity, I've seen a difference. And I see the videos and I know some of the people. I've gone to church with some of these young people. And it breaks my heart to see a precious couple, husband and wife and 2 or 3 kids, and they're excited about God, they're excited about the church, they're excited about a wonderful life together, and then 2 years later they're both in and out of jail.
Yes.
They're both, you know, and I see this in couple after couple after couple, and it breaks my heart. It does. It just tears me up. And I'm thrilled to see you guys making this kind of effort, because we have a great county. We have a wonderful county, and we can make a difference. Just the little things each one of us does.
We can make a difference, and we are making a difference. And I think the more awareness we have about meth, and the more people that are active in saying we're not going to tolerate meth, I think that we will continue to get better.
Good. Now, school security. We were going to discuss this sometime back, and we haven't had a chance to get together. But we were talking earlier about the school security and the new security that's taking place in the Trinity School. I know Groveton has already been doing something, and Apple Springs is already doing something. Can you discuss the 3 different schools and what they're doing and how they will relate to the sheriff department and the local police and whatever that they'll be working with?
Well, with our schools, as you know, everybody's really hyped up about is your child safe at school, and I certainly am a parent, and I feel the same way. So all the schools, and I'm happy and excited to announce that every one of our schools now in this county have got some sort of countermeasures in place, the ability to defend themselves in the event that something like this happens. And Trinity Independent School District, as you know, they're in the process of forming, and I believe they're choosing a chief of police this week, where they're going to form their own police department.
Good.
However they do it, we don't care what happens as long as there's something in place to protect our children. And like I said, all the schools have gone into a program to where they've got some kind of countermeasures in place, and I'm excited about it. I think that Trinity is certainly doing a great job, and I know they're picking good people. The key to that is our children are safe and they're protected and there's something there. But I also think that the more we talk about this, that we are prepared, I think you're going to be preventing something from ever happening.
Right.
Now, our main goal is to prevent it from ever happening. And I think if people out there, the bad guys, know that if you come here and you do something, chances are you're going to leave in a body bag. I don't think they're going to come try. And while we need to be careful with a lot of things we do with our children, but the first thing is we got to protect them. And I don't think anybody sends their children to a school for problems.
Right.
But I'm just excited to say that all the schools now are on board.
That's wonderful.
Whereas I know that in the beginning there was a lot of mixed emotions, and which there should be.
Sure.
Because I don't think the police need to be involved in the schools. But we don't have a choice anymore. And that's what's sad, and we have to do something to protect our children. The only way you can fight any kind of resistance that comes into a school or any kind of attack on the school is to be able to neutralize it, and you're going to have to use deadly force.
Right.
And all schools are capable of doing that now.
And like you said a few minutes ago, in the event that someone does go into a school and start shooting, in that first 3 or 4 minutes, 50% of it's done,
Well,
and
we
then
know
up to 8 minutes it's all done.
Right. We've noticed, studying all the school shootings and bad things that happen in schools across the country, they're normally over within, I think 80% of it is up, or 50% of it's up and done in 5 minutes. It's, they're finished within 5 minutes. And another 2 or 3 minutes goes by and they're just about 90%. It's over. So there's not a lot of response time.
Right.
And when you have a police department, you have distance between sheriff's offices and police departments from the schools, then that's time.
Sure.
Time that you don't have. And being able to put security measures and counteractive measures in the schools that not everybody knows about,
Right.
and so no one can take that protection out. If something happens and then they're capable of taking them out, then the threat's eliminated,
Right.
and you don't have such a catastrophe. And I truly believe that I don't think we'll see that in Trinity County, simply because
Right.
everybody is prepared, and we're talking about it, and we're training kids on what to do in the event that something bad happens.
Well, I know
and that
that-
goes from storms all the way up to violence or
Right.
people coming in and attacking a school. You've got to be prepared, and that's what we're doing with the
I
children.
know that Trinity, the new buildings, the middle school, the high school, and the elementary school, not new buildings, but the new changes, the upgrades is what I call them, they have some very, very serious measures to get in that building, and you can't just walk in anymore. And, parents are gonna, it sounds good now, but when you hit that glass door and you get mad because you have to go back to the car and get your purse for your driver's license or whatever, then that's gonna be a struggle. But parents will get used to it, and we will adapt and recognize, that it is for the protection of our children. And we're just glad to see that our leaders, our law enforcement, our school officials are taking our children seriously. Last year there was a bomb scare at the Trinity school, and my husband went up there, and he was, helped kind of background or whatever, and one thing he saw was that, first of all, those were our grandbabies. They were our children. We had several grandbabies on that campus. Everybody there, most of the firemen, most of the police had their own children and grandchildren.
Right.
And so they kept the fire department and whatever between the kids and the building and any harm that, and so you can see just how much our leaders, our emergency management cares.
Right.
And it's personal, and it's real, and it's their family.
Well, it is. It's all family.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who's going to protect your family more than your family?
Absolutely. And I want to cover one more thing while I'm here, and that's the sheriff's breakfast. I've never been to one.
Okay.
My husband has been to several. He's videoed a couple. We have some video from this one that I want to get up on the website. But tell us about it. Tell us how it started, its purpose, I know that there's people from all over the county that come, and it's a big crowd. I mean, you have a good crowd that comes.
It's growing more every month, and it's getting to be to where it's something that people talk about. This breakfast is held on the first Monday of every month, with the exception of Labor Day. It goes to the following Monday.
Okay.
So in September, it's going to be, I believe, September the 10th,
Right.
and not September the 3rd. It won't be the first Monday; it'll be the second. But the program is basically we have a county farm that that we seized from drug dealers, and we turned it into an area where we grow vegetables and
Right.
animals, and we teach the inmates how to grow animals. We teach the inmates how to grow a garden, and we put them to work and doing other things. And so the sheriff breakfast is we've been putting this on probably about a year now, I think, and it's growing every month. We do it on the first Monday of every month, with the exception of September. It's going to go to the second Monday, being the first Monday is going to be Labor Day. But this program is based on raising money for the kids. And we have the farm, which we've seized from a drug dealer, and that's where we use the inmates to learn how to grow animals, to take care of pigs, to take care of chickens, to raise eggs, to raise a garden. And so they work every day taking care of this stuff. But we learned that we have too many pigs when we started breeding pigs. So we couldn't keep that many pigs on our farm. So we take the pigs, the little pigs when they're born, they're about 6 weeks old, and we have a pig scramble, which we invite kids from the county all over from the ages of, I think, from 5 to 17, and we let them come out and catch a pig, free of charge. They catch it, they take it home, they show it, and they have to feed it with local feed, non-medicated feed, and so they to keep the business local. And then after 6 months, they're going to bring that pig back with their receipts, and we're going to have a pig show. We got Sherman Jones, who is he's an animal judge, livestock
Right.
judge, and he was a ag teacher. He comes and he judges the pigs as they would in all the county shows, and then he places them, and then grand prize and reserve champion get a pretty big cash prize and a belt buckle, and then all the other kids that participate get a cash prize. And the goal of that is they're going to take that money, because they're all going to profit. They take that money and they use that money to go buy another animal and show in the other county shows. So we're trying to get kids back into showing animals
Right.
in other shows. Now, so the sheriff's breakfast, when we have it, some of that food that we use there is off the farm, the eggs and whatnot, but we take donations, and people donate generously and most of the time, and we take that money and that's what we use for our cash prizes for our pigs. So it's kind of just a community event where people get together and talk. They come, they meet me, and a lot of other elected officials are there, so they can talk with us, and we can sit down and just communicate. It's kind of a good thing for that, but then on the other part, the whole process, the whole point of the thing is to raise money for our kids, and then get our youth involved in raising and showing animals at the livestock show.
And this next month, am I understanding that you're going to have 4 sheriffs from different counties?
Well, we have other sheriffs
Yeah.
come from other counties. I've invited the San Jacinto County Sheriff, who he keeps most of our inmates for us. The Angelina County Sheriff comes over quite a bit. The Nacogdoches Sheriff comes over quite a bit. So I'm pretty sure all 3 of them said they're going to be here next time. I know we got the chief from Angelina College is supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So I try to send out invites to all the local elected sheriffs in the surrounding counties and other people, but and I know they're busy, but these guys try to make it time to come over, and some of them are actually talking about doing it in their own county, so we'll see. They like the way it works, and it's a good program.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason you take the money, as long as you put it back into the community and you're helping kids,
Right.
the more we can get kids involved in showing livestock animals and doing things outdoors,
Right.
the less likely we're going to have to deal with them later on
Exactly.
in this jail.
And one thing that I've seen in the years that I've been around and been out and about is that the sheriff's department and the counties, I mean, they love our kids, and they work hard and give of themselves to take care of our kids, and we appreciate that. We see it, and we appreciate it.
Well, I'm a firm believer in keeping kids, educate them through doing proper discipline with children.
Right.
Because if you don't discipline them, they're gonna grow away from you.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got to discipline your children, you've got to raise them right, you got to set rules, and you got to teach them how to follow rules. And one of the things I'm going to talk to when we start having these adult talks with parents and stuff like that is the importance of discipline and correct discipline and being a good example. And I'll give you an example, because if we don't teach our kids at a young age that all rules are supposed to be followed, and there's consequences for it not being followed, then you're going to raise a kid that doesn't believe in following rules and they're not breaking the law. For instance, is whenever you go to a room full of kids and you say, hey, what does your parents do the first thing they do when they see a cop on the road? Half of them raise their hands, say they slam on their brakes, and the other half of them say, put your seatbelt on. So we're teaching kids at that point to, hey, my parents do it, why can't I? And people say, well, that's not a big deal because that's just misdemeanor stuff, or that's just, you can get a ticket for it. But it's kind of like, I know your grandparents probably told you when you were little, if you watch your pennies, your dollars watch yourselves. It's the same thing, same concept. If you watch misdemeanors, you watch little rules, then you're never going to graduate into the worst things, misdemeanors and the felonies.
Right.
And why I see kids go bad from very good families and raised properly, it just happens. But most of it is preventable by starting at a very young age and allowing the schools to do discipline to our children. Don't run up and attack a teacher every time your kid gets in trouble at school, because it's not the teacher's fault, it's your child's.
Absolutely.
And that's what we got to get people to realize. It's so easy. I do it. My kid gets in trouble. Well, wait a minute. What about that other kid? Well, I need to be worried about my own.
Right.
And I need to make him accountable. And I need to let him know, and all my children know, that you're going to be held accountable. I don't care what happens to the other kid. That's his parents' problem. But you're mine.
Right.
And I'm not going to have you sitting in a county jail in a few years. So I want to emphasize to them how much following the rules are, and it's eventually going to catch up with you if you don't. And that's what I really need all the other parents. There's no perfect way to be a parent. No. And there's no 100% positive thing you're going to do that's going to keep your kid out of getting in trouble.
No. But
we can raise them right, and what they do when they get older is certainly going to be their choice. But I believe that the more we're involved in their lives, the more they hear about meth and how bad it is, and the more we educate them on how to raise animals and work and have good work ethics, I believe the less problems we're going to have, and crime will continue to go down.
I agree with you. I agree. Anyway, thank you.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you so much.